The intro almost worked today. I was like, oh yeah, nice. Oh no, what are you doing? It failed completely in the end. But it is what it is. So, one day left. And 10 hours for previewing my lecture. Or I think I managed to do a sub-only stream. It's like a thing you need to tick. I don't know if it's I don't know. Hopefully it will work. I don't know how to test it. I can't do it now and kick people out. Who knows, right? Who knows? Hey Morphia, how's it going? Morphia, Morphia. So what should I draw today? I feel like a monster. Hey Captain Bounce! Oh! One man wolf pack. Right there. What should I draw? Your day is complete? Yeah, mine too. It's funny. Ball fire, ball fire. And everyone lights a lighter. A plant monster. Alright, I like it. Okay, we have a plant monster and half armored troll. I like it. I like it. Some big truck outside. Any other suggestions? Or should we just split the dice in two? A lich and troll? No. No! I refuse. Half armor, half plant? No. Alright, let's split the dice in two. No one is saying anything else. So let's just 1, 2, 3 is no. 1, 2, 3 is plant monster. Alright. Morphia 1. Morphia 1. Monster. Hey Pro, how's it going? Pro 42 10. Right. Finally, your first. Oh, Jesus. All right. Zelin. Plant monster. All right. All right. Okay. I have a picture in my mind. A portrait, kind of. So, plant monster is going to be kind of like a tentacle thing. So as I see it in my mind, right, is portrait, side view, and like the tentacles are or the plant aspect of it is like tentacles taking over the face. The face. That's the idea, right? So we kind of see the face like that, plant monster, and a somewhat like organic takeover of the face. the face. Hey Malsby, how's it going? Good morning. Pro 42, you gotta be quicker, man. You gotta be quicker. It's only the die-hard fans, you know. They're here already before the gates are open. Oh, the timer isn't on. Minus 2 minutes? Let's go with that. Egria, you know, but the bed is so cozy, comfy. Yeah, that damn bed, you know. Screw that bed. Plant monster. It's fun. I kind of see it as a folded leaf creature, kind of. But it looks like it has a solid body, but it's made out of lots and lots of plant material. Vegan, vegan Cthulhu. Yeah. That is spot on, sir. That's exactly what I was going for. Can only corrupt the minds of vegetables and broccoli. Cauliflower. A cauliflower flail, or that's what they're called? Flails? Mindbenders? Mosby. Oh, you like this too? It's one of many ways of sketching, but one way of doing it is doing it in this way, where you lay a foundation, and instead of doing lines, you kind of define as you go along. A really positive thing is you get a lot of volume really fast. A negative thing is you gotta make sure that you are on point in terms of light and volumes, because if you're not and you're kind of messing up, there's a higher chance of your sketch being ugly, broken. So it requires you to know a little bit. Not that much. Anyone can sketch this way, obviously. But the more you practice it, the easier it gets. And a positive thing is, because you're sketching with volumes, you can hide a lot of information, and it'll look like you have a lot more result than in a short amount of time. Because usually what happens, if you do it the right way, my way, that was a joke, by the way, is that you build focal points up, right? You can't go and detail an area the first thing you do when you sketch like this, because, well, you can, but what happens is that you lose the harmony of details and volumes. So if you build the image up to the point where you can kind of start understanding where you want focus, sharpness, more details, and so on, you kind of can get away with a lot with less effort because it's suggested information rather than defined. Because lines, in a way, generally with lines, you gotta have to define and define and define. You know, a line is a simplification of form, but form can be a lot more vague than a line can be vague most of the times, you know, generally. Did I just sing Limp Bizkit? My Way or the Highway? Anarchon, yeah, exactly. You build the image up. I mean, I can switch a layer off and you'll see this is what I started with, kind of, you know, like a general volume, general information. And then as I'm moving along, I'm adding more and more complexity to the volumes, but still trying to maintain what was there and refine and define. So it's a very like a give and take process. But like, what has it taken? 8 minutes to get to this point, and I'm not even trying to draw fast. You know, I'm reading chat and talking with you guys and kind of just defining the concept as I go along. So in that sense, you can get a lot of things done rather fast, but it's not extremely defined. It's still very vague, but you can massage the image up to an interesting point with very little time. The problem is, which I have had to learn, it's not really a problem, but you have to learn to roll with the punches when you sketch this way. And you have to have an ability to grasp where you're going in terms of light, concept, you know, because if you don't know what you're drawing, when you have a vague process like this, where you build something up, it's going to be a lot harder to get to the end. Because you don't really know yourself, right? So I had a clear kind of direction in my mind of a vegetable Cthulhu, however you say it. So that's kind of what I pursued, right? So I knew I wanted to go this direction. So my vague start over here was I already had the image kind of in my mind. But I made a difference because initially I wanted it straight from the side like that. Or like that. But I turned ahead because it's a better picture that way. So, you know, I changed it as I went along. And that's fine. And that's fine, you know. It's about the process of exploring rather than sticking to it. Because this style lends itself to a lot of happy accidents for and also failures. Like in my history of sketching this way, like thinking back, what happens usually is like, oh, I shouldn't have made this move at this point because it ruined the image, and I kept building the image. But you will only know that you failed after the fact when you're sketching like this. It's like, I shouldn't have done that, or, you know. Hey, Kirill, how's it going? Zialin, if I learned this separately, or did it just evolve? I would say I've sketched this way a long time. I can think back to like 2001, sketching this way, starting with a block of form and then refining. So it's So it's nothing new for me. But my skill set obviously has grown since 2001. So I'm much better at form and light and so on. But this sketching way has been very natural to me from almost day one. Like even with pencil, thinking back, I've always been the renderer, you know, like drawing volumes over lines a lot of times. Like I've always enjoyed the kind of complexity of form. I also did a lot of sculpting in my youth. And I think it lends itself to that a lot. My kind of three-dimensional thinking. So I don't think it's anything different. It's been the same. The process has been the same. It's just I have changed over the years of how good I can execute it, I guess. For me, this is definitely exploratory. I can draw something I had no idea I wanted to draw. But one thing that you got to keep in mind is because you have an open starting point and you kind of explore the concept as you go along, if you don't infuse new shapes, like yesterday and day before yesterday, I sketched on someone else's 3D base, and it made me have to use different forms. So when you're doing sketching in a style like this, you can force a new form or a new shape into your drawing by absolutely, let's extreme example of closing your eyes and making a shape, and then that's the shape you got to use, right? And in that sense, that makes it an alien shape. But we are all creatures of habit. So I know that I have specific shapes. I know I have specific concepts, as in, high-level ideas, topics, genres that I prefer. So knowing if I will just sketch something, I know it will end up looking a certain way if I don't control the output. So one way of controlling the output is to forcing you to use different approaches, different shapes. So what I used to do in when I used to sit and sketch, when I had the time to sketch, I would say, okay, I'm going to draw something with soft shapes. I'm going to draw something with hard shapes. I'm going to use metal, or like forcing myself out of my comfort zone in terms of preferred visual language, and trying to make it make myself not fall into my own traps, Pro 42, yeah, it's very similar to ZBrush. You start with a blob, you transform it, and you refine it. Hey, Stish, thanks, thank you. Just some random monster on the Morpheus prompt of drawing a plant monster. So I have no idea, but I'm going for it. Well, thank you and welcome. Welcome, new person, you. Hey, Miguel, how's it going? By the way, Miguel, drop the link to your blog post about the character design challenge you guys are doing. I was supposed to be in it, but just too much stress. I couldn't deal with it. I pulled out the first time in my life. No, it's with all my sick kid and all this, and projects and clients, and I had an optimistic mind, but I couldn't do it. Miguel is Iglesias, Miguel. have set up character kind of triathlon. No, what's it called? When you give the stick to someone else and run, like a challenge. You design a character, you drop it on the next artist, and the artist has to draw an antagonist or protagonist based on what you draw and your IP. So it's like a make the boss of my world type thing. Hey there, Bart, how's it going? What up? Hey, Zoo High Art. I assume that's how you say it. It is very easy to get lost. That's why, for example, it's important, like I mentioned earlier, Zuhai, to have a mental image or a plan or a quite like this is the point I want to get to, right? And because this is such a free form way of painting, you also got to accept, okay, I might need to shift it a little bit, like roll with the punches and see what comes out. But if you don't know where you're going, this way of sketching tend to end badly. You need to have a plan. You need to have an overarching goal, or you make a blob and you like, oh, that looks like an armadillo. All right, I'm gonna paint an armadillo, and you keep going, right? But if you're just moving shapes around, that's what it's gonna look like in the end. You're just moving shapes around. Captain Boss, if you only knew the amount of things I'm cooking, I couldn't justify joining in. There's so much things. It's ridiculous. Not only setting Unreal Bjorn up, arranging judges, setting the competition, also have 2 projects, future plans, kids, husbandry, goddamn, freelance, day job. Ridiculous. Captain Boss, I didn't tease you. I just had an open mind. If you want to give up, give up. I'm not gonna. I gave up, you know. Yeah. Like I said, this sketching style I've done since beginning of time. Beginning of my digital exploration. My first foray into digital art. I've used a very, very similar technique because Miguel, yeah, is there was this program, Open Canvas, and the Paint Chat was called also, which was a website where you could join in and chat and paint with other people. And Open Canvas was a network like Photoshop Lite, where you could connect with someone else and you would paint on the same canvas and so on and so forth. But it didn't have texture brushes. It only had default round brush. It's your boy, Tassos22. Oh shit. Cheers, Tassos. Thanks for the support, man. It's your boy. Zealin, yeah, mom, give me a topic. Yeah, so because there was no texture brushes, a lot of people did line art. A lot of people did these beautiful renders. But because um, I've always had an affinity to speed and and, and be very imaginative, I've always kind of generated a lot of images um, rather fast and always had this ability to have a mental image, right? So what I used to do in these kind of basic drawing programs was to layer a low opacity brush with the default round brush, much like I've done. You can clearly see it here. You know, like layer, 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 and you can see it here as well. And because there was no texture brush, you had to come up a way to get textures. So that's kind of where this drawing style came from. Was you made a blob, and then you refined and layered, refined layer, refined layers, and kind of carved out the image. Because I drew so fast, and I didn't like line art that much. So it always ended up with, okay, I can do line art or beautiful smooth gradients with this default round brush, or I can be quick and dirty and sketchy. And I preferred being quick and sketchy over taking my time to sit and draw carefully. Because it wasn't natural to me in that sense. I've always preferred drawing fast and generating ideas fast, you know. Hey, Sylvia Dross, thank you very much for the raid party. Whoop, whoop. Fake Newsos 22. Tiny raid. It is a raid nonetheless. That sweet, sweet raid treat. Thank you very much. Miguel, oh, I like it dirty. Quick and dirty with a default brush. What? Sylvia draws. Line art is fun too. I mean, I do a lot of line art as well. But I like to branch out in different techniques, mostly because of my clients. I work for a wide range of different clients with different needs, right? So I need to be adaptive because one client can have photorealistic project going on versus the other one have like a Borderlands type art need, and then cute cartoony movie, and then you know. So I never know professionally what I'm going to draw next, right? So I need to be able to not having to do R&D when I get a new client, right? So when a new client comes and says, "Hey, we need a line art cyberpunk," I'll just go, "Yup," and I'll start doing it, right? Rather than go, "Okay, line art, how does that work?" And you start, you know, wasting time, valuable time that the client, you know, is waiting for. So I can work in a lot of different styles. So I do see the benefits of line art. I do see I do find enjoyment in line art. But this is definitely a very natural way of drawing for me. Even when drawing with pencil and I render the exact same way. I block and then refine, block and refine, block and refine. If I don't do line art, of course. But I also paint, blah, blah, blah. You can definitely find new skill sets and new ways of thinking by I used to limit myself to, let's say, one sketchbook. I said this is only ballpoint pen ink, and I wasn't allowed to draw with anything else in that sketchbook but ballpoint pen or ink, right? So I was sitting there drawing with ink and ink and ink. forcing myself to adapt, forcing myself to configure my approach to creativity, right? And then in the end, I had a sketchbook full of strange ink experiments, and naturally you find a new solution, you find a new path, and then you could take that new solutions to, let's say, paint, and then you would see paint in a completely different light, because you forced yourself to skew your viewpoint, which, you know, can create some really weird results. Yeah. Thanks, boss. Have a good night's sleep, Sylvia. Thanks for the raid. Hey, Brendan. What up? In full view, it could be a very good character for my art book. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe not. I do like be creative. And I do like experimenting, I would say. The alien from District 9. I can see that. I can see that. What did they call them? Shrimps? The shrimps, yeah. Oh man, District 9 when it came out, I was like, what? This is a concept artist's like fantastic conception. It was like all over that movie. Like the gun design that was Beck, wasn't it? Aaron Beck? Maybe it wasn't, I don't remember. But yeah, it was like set the standard for me for many years. I kept going back to that pool and like, damn, how did they come up with such a cool shapes? I was just, as soon as I saw the movie, I was like, that is correct, that is perfect. I need to be able to do that. I remember, like, damn it, I need to do some research. Hey, Weeping Jay, how's it going? What up? Captain Both, yeah, me too. I would say the ending was pretty shit. Spoiler. but the whole like mood and atmosphere, and it was like spot on. It was like for me, it was like you were invited to this fully realized world that's tangible and understandable and have real world correlation, kind of. It didn't feel like a made up shitty universe. It felt like, oh, this is just what's happening in Africa over there. And I found Elysium having the same kind of tone, like believable kind of sci-fi. It's really cool. Yeah, the mech suit was amazing. Um, um, Stitch. Well, the thing is like I've explained this in a couple of other streams, but because I do a lot of client work and less illustrative work, mostly kind of production art, form goes before color. So usually what we do is we explore form in grayscale. And because the client always says, give color options, if you have to reverse engineer color and then reintroduce color to enable to create variety, it takes a lot of unnecessary time. So due to my line of work where I do a lot of pre-production, production, concept art, I always go grayscale first, just by default, because it's so efficient in terms of client feedback and updates. But if I just paint, I go straight to color. But I have many different ways to color grayscale, so I'm not worried. I've had to do a lot of R&D, research and development, in ways of coloring grayscale. So I have many different ways and many different approaches to do it. So I'm not worried technically of having it as an obstacle. I can do either way. It's fine with me, you know. Captain Bows, yeah, that was the feeling as well. Okay, let's add a generic tone to it. Let's have cool white, and then let's give it a nice warm planty plant. Where should it go? Here, probably. Maybe like that too. Yeah, that worked. Yeah. I'm a plant monster. That's okay. That'll do. The last thing, the last edit. Let's give it fire. Put it, light it on fire. No. Just a little bit of contrast. There we go. Finito. Good old open canvas sketching style. Time is up. Oh no. So it's pretty cool, the glaciers. Maybe we are gonna shift Unreal Bjornament to, I'll give you Unreal Bjornament and you can call it the showdown tournament. 100 people, one-on-one, out-design the other person. There you go. Concept art Thunderdome. All right, everybody. It's time to raid. We will raid Kuyayaipi, doing some egg studies. Looks pretty cool. Have a great day, everyone. Good night, if you're that part of the world. See you tomorrow. Best of luck with what you need to do today. Gonna take you to the raid after the outro, so don't go anywhere. Tools.